Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have our unit number 4 unit test. Before we take the test, let's do a little quick revision of it. So unit 4, the title of the unit is Ethics in Engineering. So what did we do? These are a few topics that we did in unit number 4. The first topic is Introduction to Ethics. So we learned what is the definition of ethics, what is the etymology, where does the word come from. We all know that English is a language which has borrowed from many languages and enriched itself. So ethics is a Greek word which is derived from ethos, which means customs, habits, disposition. Ethics actually is an approach to understanding and analyzing matters of right and wrong, good and bad, etc. Right? It is actually a branch of philosophy which studies a set of rules by which people live. Right? The scope of engineering ethics. Why is ethics important in engineering? Because like other professional courses, engineering is a course which has a huge impact on human life and human well-being. Engineers innovate to create a more comfortable life for human existence. Right? So not only are they trying to provide us with a better life, but they are also being responsible for the way we will live our life. Right? So that's why such kind of engineering ethics are required. Now there are different professional bodies like IEEE, ASME, IEI, which have evolved codes for engineering branches. Right? There are also organizations like NSPE that have prepared ethical coding or the code of conduct which engineers should follow. And this code of conduct are given to students of engineering so that they can move forward and work on things. Right? This kind of awareness, if it is aroused earlier, the awareness of following ethics and ethical conducts are aroused, are taught to students to develop awareness. And when they are introduced as the early student level, it would help students to practically assess the decisions that they take, and that would give them a practice of taking decisions in keeping in mind the code of conducts for them. Now what are the different factors which are influenced by this engineering ethics, the scope of engineering ethics? Right? So it's an experimentation. Engineering is an experimentation for the better existence of human life. Usually there could be chances of having or facing a difficult phase in life when you have to take different kind of difficult decisions. Moreover, not only is it the moral responsibility of an engineering professional, but also the social responsibility of an engineering professional to look at the welfare, safety and health of the humankind as a whole. Because engineering is a sort of an experiment. It depends on trial and error whether the experiment will succeed or not. Technological advancement in engineering require minute detailing. Right? So many things from all different perspectives, it should be there. So few of the scope of engineering ethics would envelope activities like responsibility for safety, the rights of the engineers, moral reasoning, ethical theories, responsibility as employees and employers, etc. Then the topic is accepting and sharing responsibility. Responsibility is actually a concept in engineering ethics, which means commitment to duty, and sharing of responsibility means cooperation, help and assistance. As we knew that everybody as a person, even if there are 100 civil engineers, each one has its own set of skills. Each individual would have its own expertise and own set of skills that he or she has to maintain and follow. Right? So that is why accepting responsibility, because you need to work in teams. Remember, in the previous sessions or previous lectures, we have seen that people, to achieve better goals, you have to work in teams, right? That's where responsibility comes into existence. Responsibility also means that you are accountable for the work that you do. You are accountable for the work that you will do. Now, here, what will happen is, when you are working with team, one person cannot be responsible for everything. Everybody as an individual needs to take up his or her responsibilities. So how can you see that what are the signals that show that a team is taking its work seriously and is taking up responsibility? So you can see that the quality is maintained when you produce products, quality is maintained or the quality is increasing. The production targets are achieved and they are above the target that needs to be achieved. There are less complaints from team members, there are less workplace injuries, there is limited conflict happening. Now, there's something called involvement of team in decision making. It's a chronological order from no involvement to highest involvement, where you take help from your team members to take up a decision. And why do we need to look into sharing the responsibility? It actually increases the team morale. The team will work as if they own the company. They will have a sense of ownership. It leads the people to focus on bigger picture, because everybody takes responsibility. Each and every individual is appreciated for his or her work, so they feel important. It actually not only prepares the individual for success, but it also helps you success. Uh, it helps you to achieve success as an entire organization. Moreover, it gives you a wider experience. Now, how can we encourage people to take responsibility? You have to appreciate the person right away instead of waiting for the correct moment. Try to see that each person is allocated work according to his or her skills and expertise, so that the person does his best to achieve the best. Next, we have responsible professionals and ethical corporations. The professionals can be responsible when they take up the responsibility. Then there is the Society of ABAT. It's a society which has prepared a engineer's code of ethical conduct, and the fundamental canons of conduct are like holding paramount the safety, health and welfare of the public, performing services only in the area of competence, issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner, act for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees, avoid deceptive acts, conduct themselves or conducting engineers should conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically and lawfully, so that you can enhance not only the honor of yourself but also the honor and reputation of the profession itself, right? What are ethical principles? There are ethical principles means the code of conducts. Some of them are universal code of conducts which are common universally and across all professions, like honesty, trustworthiness, respect for others, following the law, doing good and trying to avoid harm, and accountability, having responsibility. And then we have got ethical corporations. This is a society which has given us or paved the way for us to get ourselves educated and skilled as we can. Now, then it is the individual's responsibility to pay back to the society in a good manner. So, how do you do it? You have to set up a corporation which does not last for only a few days, few months, or few years. You want a corporation whose name lasts for longer duration of time in this period. So, what do? You follow ethics. Why is it important to have an ethical corporation? Because it generates a goodwill in the market. It will also develop the customers' reliance and satisfaction, and the business will survive better if you have ethics. Now, having ethics also helps not only the employees but also the employers and the shareholders of that particular organization. It also helps in the smooth functioning of the organization and generates a scope for better employment, large number of employment. Moreover, when there are ethical practices happening in the organization, it would avoid any kind of malpractice to happen from the side of the employee as well as from the side of the employer. Then we had resolving ethical dilemmas. Ethical dilemmas is a situation where you have to select between two equally bad situations, right? The one which does less number of harm. So the structure of an ethical dilemma is such that there is something that is morally right, is something that is morally right, but it has a bad outcome. And then there is something which is morally wrong, but has a better outcome as compared to the other one. That is what is an ethical dilemma. You have to choose between these two options. Excuse me. Now, such kind of a dilemma would occur with each individual and each organization as well. And there are steps to resolve the ethical dilemma. The first step is you have to analyze the consequences. So how do we analyze the consequences? When I take a decision, who are the people who are benefited from the decision? Who are the people who are likely to be harmed? And what is the nature of your harms and benefits? Is it a long time harm, short time harm? Does it harm the person to a very core or to an extent where the person cannot get up, etc.? Then you have to analyze the actions. You have to identify the best possible option and concentrate on the actions. Does it go against moral principles? uh, does it treat both the parties with fairness? That is, you don't have much win-win or much win-lose situation. You have to be sensible enough to choose the less problematic option, and then at the end make a decision. Now, after considering the various options, looking at the options from various perspectives, you have to come to a decision. Now, why do ethical dilemmas occur? Ethical dilemmas occur due to the following four reasons. One, failure of personal character. Two, conflict between personal values and organizational goals. Three, organizational goals and conflict of social values. And the last and the not the least one, that is the hazardous but popular products. Now, when you face an ethical dilemma, you as a person, okay, whenever a person faces an ethical dilemma, he or she should ask himself these three questions. Is it legal? Question one, is it legal? So whatever decision am I taking, does it break the law in any way or not, right? If it is not legal, then the decision is not ethical. That's why. Then, is it balanced, fair to both the parties, as I mentioned? And last one, is it right? Are you proud of the decision that you are taking? When a person reflects over these three questions, he is likely to find the answer to his dilemma. And the last topic that we dealt with was making moral choices. How do we make moral choices? Moral choices means judgments that you have to take in a particular kind of a situation using a standard of comparison that is given to you by your culture and subculture. Now, there are different frameworks for ethical decision making: the consequentialist framework, the duty framework, and the virtue framework. In the consequentialist framework, the focus is on the future effects, and a consideration is given to people who are affected directly or indirectly. The duty framework focuses more on duties and obligations that an individual faces of the society. Here it is a little rigid because it strictly follows moral rules without breaking them. The last one is the virtue framework, where you identify some character traits which is positive or negative and try to motivate yourself, or the person motivates himself or herself in a particular given situation. This kind of a framework takes into account larger number of people when there are many people to be benefited through. Moreover, this kind of a framework is used in case when you have to think not only with your head but with your heart as well, with emotions and experience together. Right? Then we have the ethical decision making process. How do you do it? You take time first to define the problem. Then you consult the resources and seek assistance. Think about the lasting effects. Consider regulations in other industries. You have an example where you have it in other industries and how they resolved it. That's the case study that we need to do as provided by the university in the syllabus. Decide on a decision, come on a decision, implement and evaluate. You don't just take a decision, but you implement the decision, and you also work and try to make the decision better. Make an implementation and then you evaluate the implementation as well. Now, last we have Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development, very important. he has proposed this theory based on the thinking of younger children throughout their growing period as adults. So he has given us three levels of thinking or three levels of moral development, that is the pre-conventional level, conventional level, and post-conventional level. Now each of these three level has further two sub levels, and we cannot change the chronology because it is in increasing order. So pre-conventional level has two subtopics called avoiding punishment and self-interest. This kind of thinking is generally found in elementary school level. uh, People try to make judgments to avoid uh, punishments from higher officials, that is the teacher or the parent or the guardian. Self-interest here, the thinking is directed by the rewards that are given in exchange. The second level is the conventional level, which is found at the primary and a high school level. The sub stages over here are getting people to like them and maintaining functioning in the society. The ideas and the thinking are in the getting to like them part. The ideas are, or the thinking is directed by what kind of people, what kind of attraction you create for others, and how you please people in the society. Maintaining functioning in the society has already set up a rule, certain set of rules, and the civilization also works under such kind of rules. So how do you work alongside the rules that the society has set up? Last and the upmost highest level of thinking is known as the post conventional level of thinking, which is the third level. It is found generally found after high school level. Uh, Here, the person or the thinker thinks at two levels. One, rejecting rigid laws. This is where the person is not influenced by anything else but tries to make changes according to what he feels. He has his own opinions based on humanitarian values. And the last and the most highest stage is known as sense of justice. It is also called the pinnacle stage of moral development, where the person feels that the other person should also feel justified, the decision should be justified. Here nothing influences him or her to think, right? So these are the 6 stages as mentioned by Lawrence Kohlberg to make moral development that happens in a person as a thinker who takes his own decisions. Right, so this was a quick revision for unit number 4 that we have taken over here. Now we will move on to our test, unit test. Just give me a moment. I'll paste the test link over here. There you go. I have given you the test link for today. Kindly read the question and the options carefully and do not rush to answer the quiz. Okay, please do not rush to answer the quiz. You may start attempting your test now. Excellent. I can see all of you have completed the unit test for unit number 4. From next session, we'll be starting with unit 5. Before that, by the time you gave your unit test, I've already taken the attendance. So the absent numbers are enrollment number 1, 5, 6, 9, 15, 18, and 19. These are the people who are absent on today's session. Now there is an important information which I wish to pass on. We are having a session now on Thursday from 12 to 1. Now instead of Thursday 12 to 1, there will not be a lecture for ETC on Thursday 12 to 1. There will be a lecture of ETC on Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30. There will be a lecture of ETC now on Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30 for this week only. It will not be a there will not be a lecture on Thursday. There will now be a lecture on Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30. I'll be sending the lecture link on our official WhatsApp group to you at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. This arrangement is for this week only. So on Thursday, there will not be a lecture. Instead of the Thursday lecture, we now have a lecture on Saturday from 9:30 in the morning. From 9:30 to 10:30 we have a session on Saturday. Fine, I hope the instruction is clear. Please inform your friends who are not present today that the lecture of Thursday is shifted. For this week it is shifted on Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30. Right, we'll call it a day. I've already uploaded the material for unit number 4 and 5 on the Google shared folder. You may have a look at it. Fine. So we call it a day over here. Thank you, class. Have a nice day. Our next session will be on Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30, and the lecture link will be shared on the official WhatsApp group in the morning at 9. Thank you, class. Have a nice day. Thank you.